Back at it again, y'all. Peace, peace, peace. Everybody have a seat. We are back at it again today. I got a good treat for y'all. Welcome. Everybody, get your notepads out. We're going to go on a trip today. So peace again, everybody. Welcome back to the Hidden Ones podcast. We'll be going depth on true so-called Black history. Plain and simple, we get straight to it. So today, I wanted to bring out something that was very, very overlooked. I know some brothers understand what this is. An article about Benjamin Franklin's, I believe the name of his paper was called Observations of the Increase of Mankind, something to that effect. And let's just get straight to it. Go ahead and highlight this for y'all to see. Very, very interesting, y'all. I mean, your history teacher from elementary to junior high to high school, and even some colleges are not teaching you this stuff. So this is something that some of y'all might be familiar with. So Benjamin Franklin describes pretty much his observations of mankind during his time around, I believe this was written in 1715, with the mass migrations of the Palatinate Boers, or other known as the Germans, that were fleeing to America. Of course, the English. You had the Scots, the people of Wales, Ireland, Denmark, Sweden people or Swedish people, etc. Were all moving to the Americas in mass migration, but in particular, he highlights the Germans, which is what he's upset about. Let's find out why. So, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionably very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive to the newcomers, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, the Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion. Time out, right? So, keying on that term swarthy, right? I'm sure a lot of brothers know already, but let's just bring this up for, clarification's sake. So y'all know I'm not making this up. Let's look into this. Swarthy. And we're looking this up etymologically. Bear with me one second. The word swarthy, or swart for swart. Let's go to the first adjective of it. Dark colored, especially of skin. 1580s, unexplained alteration of swarthy. 1570s, from swart plus y, swarthiness. Now let's get to the root of it. Swart. Old English, swart. Black, dark, of night clouds. Also figurative. Wicked, infamous, from Proto-Germanic swarta, source of Old Frisian, Old Saxon. As you guys know, Saxony is a area in Germany. And Middle Dutch swart. Notice how it's also linked to Dutch, right? Because the Dutch were so-called black people, believe it or not. But we're going to get into this. Dutch, swart, Old Norse, swart, German, Schwarz, Gothic, Swartz, dark colored, black, so on and so on and so forth. It's clearly somebody of so-called black complexion. Let's read further down. the Germanic word, surviving in the continental languages, but displaced in English by black, of skin color, of persons. It don't get no more realer than that, right? From late 14th century, related. Let's move along. Back to the article now. So Benjamin Franklin, he described the people of being so-called pure white or Caucasian, so-called Caucasian, that they were very disproportionately small in number. So they're the minority during this time. We're talking early 1700s still. So he says, all Africa is black or tawny. Tawny is also described as somebody of lighter brown skin, right? Shout out to COJ, who put me up on game about this a few years ago. About perfect example he used was tawny being anywhere or ranging from your Stephen Curry to Kobe Bryant, all the way up to a Wesley Snipes. Those different shades of brown, but tawny being one of the lightest, or that medium dark brown. And of course, swarthy being so-called black, a Wesley Snipes type of figure. Let's continue reading. Asia, chiefly tawny, right? The whole continent of Asia, for those of you who don't know, all of these nations were so-called black, and there's different variations of brown or brown-skinned people, right? America, exclusive in the newcomers, wholly so, and in Europe, the Spaniards, wow, look at that, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russian, and the Swedes are generally of what we would call a swarthy complexion. The vast majority of us were over here in these areas. Benjamin Franklin has no reason to lie about this. Just think about this, right? Ask your teachers, why aren't they teaching you this? Here we go. As are the Germans also. The Saxons only accepted. And the only reason why he says the Saxons accepted is due to the fact that Benjamin Franklin, or at least around his time, we're talking early 1700s, so-called black people were still ruling in large numbers of these regions. But there was a turning point of the system, per se, where Benjamin Franklin is describing Saxons as so-called Caucasian, or the opposite of swarthy. They're not the original Saxons. They took upon our names as being the Germans, the Swedes, the Dutch. It just happened to be that Saxon, or people of Saxony, were moving in large numbers that were of so-called Caucasian descent. So in his mind, he believes that they're the original Saxons, even though they're not. Anyways, continue reading. Where was I at? I could wish, the Saxons only accepted, who with the English. The English were not the original Saxons. The Saxons, for those of you guys who don't know, were so-called black people originally. Started by, of course, King Alfred I. You guys can look him up whenever you guys get a chance. Make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. I could wish their numbers were increased. And while we are, as I may call it, scoring our planet by clearing America of woods, and so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus, why should we, the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Think about what he's saying right there. He's like, yo, we gotta increase our numbers. Why increase the sons of Africa? By planting them in America. Where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies. Wow. Of increasing the lovely white and red. Red, keyword. Those who know, y'all know. But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country. For such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Nothing wrong with that, right? Meaning he's saying, at the end of the day, I'm not wrong for saying this. Everybody prefers their own kind. Nothing wrong with that. But highlighting the main point of this whole spill that he gave us was he's describing America, those European nations, all being so-called black people as far as the majority, and the so-called Caucasian was a minority, right? We've been taught so many lies in the fool system, as they call it, right? And they always start at slavery. So what we're trying to do is, at least what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is go beyond slavery. Find out who's who, right? This is not me being racist. This is not a channel of hate towards anybody. This is, in the words of CLJ, shout out to that brother. It's about being pro-truth. We have to get to a place of truth, the good, bad, and the ugly of our people. And this is what this channel is about, awakening our people, starting with the so-called black man first. Let's get to one more thing, just to verify what I'm saying. I know this sounds crazy, and it's so hard for our people to believe this stuff. Trust me, I get it. It's very hard, but when you have things like this skipped over in history or not spoken of in your history class, you have to start questioning why. Why would they not have these kind of articles ready for you in school to be quizzed upon, right? They only tell one side. So let's go to something else just to verify the things that I'm saying. Let's get an actual description of so-called black people in these areas, starting with the place called Scotland, right? And this book that I'm about to read off to you guys or go into excerpts with, it's called Jacobite Gleanings from State Manuscripts. This is about the actual slave passengers that were brought from Ireland and Scotland, I think mainly Scotland in particular, where they describe the slave in complexion, height, weight, etc., stature, you name it, and they give you the first and last name. And these were so-called black people who were shipped to the Americas, in particular the Caribbeans and high density, which is why you have a lot of, Jamaicans, just all kind of Caribbean people with the Scottish, Welsh, British last names and high number, especially Scottish and Irish names. So let's take a look to verify what I'm saying. So these are the transportations in 1745. Let's take a look at this. Andrew Langer, name of one passenger, right? His age is 40. Profession is a weaver from the County Dublin. Gets even crazier, y'all. Stature, 5'6". Remarks, meaning this is description. Dark complexion, well-made and healthy. Right? We're always under the assumption that Scotland, Ireland, England are all Caucasian lands, right? But the first brother we see here is described as a Negro, so-called. James Lawson, age 22. Profession laborer, County Angus. 5'1", it looks like, or 5'5". And remarks was well-made, slender, right? They don't really give the complexion on him. Let's go down to John Troop, age 20, is a gardener from County Stirlings, 5'8", dark but sickly. Wow. George Samuel, age 18, bookbinder, Edinburgh is the county he's from, 5'5", brown, pale, slender. Think about that. Obviously, brown is what he really is as far as his main complexion. Pale is thrown in there because obviously he must have looked sickly, right? Let's go down to James Donald, age 20, profession, tailor, county, what is that? Mernshire, 5'7.5". Well-made, not too much information on him. Let's get down to Matthew, age 32, Maltster is his profession. Perthshire, stature is 5'5", and he is dark also, but sickly. Let's drop down and get to the meat. Donald McDonald, right? I've always heard that name associated with brothers to this day, right? It's always been themed around so-called black people when I think of these names. Let's look up his features. 58 years old, is a servant from Edinburgh, 5'5" and swarthy. Hugh McDonald, age 13, 4'7", slender and sickly. James McLean, that name is very popular in Jamaica with the Islanders or Caribbean people. Age 19, nail maker. Stirlingshire, place or where he's from. Stature, 5'1", sandy complexion but healthy. Now, when you think of sandy, also you think of brown. And this is just me pointing out, so-called black people, we come in all these different flavors. Am I saying that no Caucasians were here? Of course not. But for the most part, as you go through this list, you see the same thing. Look at this one. Duncan Campbell, laborer, dark complexion, healthy. Look at the next one. Cunningham, right? These are names, our last names, that so many of our people are walking around with and have no idea why we got them outside of the nonsense that they propagate, right? That we got it from a slave master. A Caucasian gave us his last name. No, what you're seeing is they have our last names. That's the whole mystery behind this, or the solving of this mystery. We don't have their last names, they have ours. Cunningham, for instance, age 32. Black, sturdy, his own hair. Mackenzie, 22, gentleman. Rothshire is a county, 5'10", well made. Next one, Hugh McPhee, laborer, age 30, lusty and black. Drop down, brown, black hair, dark hair, brown hair, nut brown in complexion with this person from Aberdeen. John Bowie, right? This reminds you of the name Sam Bowie, right? At least that comes to mind for me. Anderson, also a Scottish last name, also described as dark. And it's just so on and so forth. You see dark, brown, swarthy, so on and so forth. Even this brother right here, look at this. George Hume, age 30, is a writer from Edinburgh, 5'7". They just call him a black man, straight up and down. Ain't no way around this. It's right there in front of people's faces, and these books have been hidden, at least for me, as I started coming into this knowledge. And I came across these books recently, and it truly has been a great gem for me. And what I'm going to do is, so I don't keep this too long-winded, I'm going to end this with a video and give you live footage of what I'm talking about with the so-called Black Irish, so on and so forth. And this is going to be an interview from 1976. I'm not sure if it was CBS, PBS, or somebody that did a special where they interviewed these so-called black people who had thick Irish accents that live to this day on an island, I believe, near Jamaica, somewhere in the Caribbean. Let's check it out right now.
A spot in me heart which no colleen me owns. There's a depth in me soul never sounded unknown. Sure I love the dear silver that shines in your hair, and the brow that's all furrowed and wrinkled with care. I kiss the dear fingers so toil-worn for.
I'm laughing at his wife, or I'm not sure what she is to him. Maybe just some kinfolk, a sister, maybe, but she definitely looks irritated. This must be something he does daily to annoy her.
Oh, me, oh, God bless you and keep you, mother.
He said, "Nigga, shut up." But as y'all can see, brothers, right there, right in front of you. I've never seen this video up until I believe a year ago, and a lot of times what they try to do, brothers, is they'll throw you off by Africanizing these people. You know, you'll see that in more books you read, where they pretty much try to throw you off by calling them Africans that were brought as slaves. Or you'll see slave, somebody of a low class or stature, whenever you see a black person described or being described in a book about a European noble, right? So this is part of, them hiding the faces of the judges, for those of you brothers who understand that scripture and where that comes from. And with that being said, I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all have a good one, and peace.